Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to episode 31 of the Beyond the Booster vlog. My name's Eddie, owner of Eddys Emporium. And this week, I'm going to keep it quite short. I'm going to start changing the format, just kind of give you only significant changes to the business, but then mostly TCG news where it's relevant, what's really happening. So we keep the finger on the pulse, but I'm not just saying things for the sake of saying things about the business, because I feel like it might get a bit samey. So this week's, I've actually had quite a big change from an equipment perspective, and this is for pre-grading purposes. I've bought this amazing digital microscope for pre-grading purposes. Now, I probably will do another video on this about how it works, but I've tested it out recently, and the quality that I'm able to see, because you'll probably have had that similar experience in the past where you're just wondering, like, you're squinting, is that a scratch or is that like a mark, is it dirt, and you're trying to scratch it, and I've found that sometimes I've done more damage to the card than I possibly have done. So I've bought this to give me a bit more of a honest idea, eliminating that bias when I do send things off for pre-grading. I'm not just trying to make myself believe that that is not there, and then suddenly when a 9 comes back I go, yeah, I can see why they've graded it that way, but you know, these are things that they use. I think it's good for me to be able to do the same. So I'm going to test it out over the next couple of submissions, see how it performs, and then probably create a video. I'll do a tutorial on how I use it and kind of what I'm looking for as I get to grips with it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the results come in from this. It certainly will be a game changer for me. It's certainly not an entry level thing. If you're thinking about getting into grading, just you can find 10s. You don't need a digital microscope like myself, but obviously from a business perspective, it eliminates the ability to grade things that may or may not get that 9 versus a 10, which can be all the difference when you're trying to make money. Also, I'm doing my first ever free giveaway. So this is something is free to enter. So you can be in for getting all these Yu-Gi-Oh packs here, absolutely for nothing. So we've got retro pack, we've got some crossover breakers, we've got some Supreme Darkness, Duelist Nexus, Wild Survivors, Justice Hunters, Battle of Legend, Monster Mayhem, Legendary Duelists, Soulburn and Volcano, and the Rarity Collection Premium Gold Edition. Now, I went for a variety because I thought, well, rather than giving you as a collector 1 of the same, or 8 of the same, or 9 of the same in this instance, I thought I could give you a bit more of like a bundle. And so all you need to do is go to the Instagram post here, comment and tag a friend. If you do want to get an extra entry, subscribe to the YouTube channel and just comment your YouTube handle, username on that Instagram post pinned in my Instagram thing. That's the only way to enter, and you'll get double the amount, and the winner will be announced on the description. It's easy as that. Another TCG news note, it's been a good and bad week for news, mainly because of some of the things that have happened, but it's certainly worth covering in this video. Firstly, at PSA, the pricing changes. Now, this is something I'm going to go through on their official announcement here. I think they've tried to justify it in some sense by obviously explaining to you what their monthly submissions are looking like versus their grading output. So this is basically, the bottom line is they're charging us more and increasing the price. This is likely because of the cost of Beckett, but also other things that now there is not as many competitors in the market, more people flock to PSA, and this can be a benefit for other grading companies, you know, such as CGC, Tag, Ace, MGC, anyone else that is coming up. They can you really use the frustration of the community at the moment, but from what they're telling us, you can see that their current grading output is relatively the same from Jan 24 through to Jan 26, so over 2 years. And I can't really tell you what the output there is. There might be some numbers down, but you can see that the amount coming in is a lot greater than the amount going out. So that means they're constantly gaining, like, obviously a backlog of cards, which is probably obviously in line with you. If you've graded to PSA of late, you'll have found that it's probably taking a lot longer. This is probably due to this trend. So over the course of these 2 years, probably you can see from around November 2024, it's just suddenly got a bit out of control. They had a bit of a dip in May 2025, but obviously the boom, the hype, everything revolving that, it just shot up. I couldn't tell you why or where this came from, but this is obviously something that if I was looking at this as a business, and if these fact numbers are indeed true and not kind of geared towards making a narrative of increasing the price of your grading, you would probably need that extra income to buy more graders, or sorry, hire more graders to be able to kind of make them lines catch up with each other and be more aligned. But it's certainly not good if you just are the average Joe. I mean, I think it's increasing to from 21.99 to 24, and obviously if you're in the UK, it's probably going to be a tiny bit more than that, because you've got all the other additional increases there, and that's not even to take into account the fact that you also have the cost of transit, the insurance if something's over, I think it was 250 quid. In terms of value, you'll get the upcharge for the insurance protection. And they're also increasing the time you're going to have to wait for new submissions. Now, this could be a temporary thing, as we just seen from up here, where they're just trying to sort of say, look, here's the lead time. It's increasing until these come a bit more in sync with each other. Now, that for me is still a bit more of a gripe. Like, you just be like, I'm paying more and getting less. And we saw a similar kind of frustration with the Commander decks from Magic the Gathering. They took the Commander sample packs out, sorry, the collector sample packs out, and they upped the price by £5 or dollars. And it just wasn't really good. And it was immediate. So I know the Subcenter put out a statement to almost showcase frustration, because even partners of PSA, where we would submit in the UK to them at the Subcenter and other, obviously, submission hubs, they are immediately having these price changes. There's no honor system. So anything that you've submitted to them prior to the 10th of February, so let's say in January submission, you're suddenly paying or having to get the Subcenter to charge you, because they won't front that cost. They will back charge you in order to send it off, which is frustrating for them, because that's really going to affect their brand reputation you're feeling with Subcenter, because you've kind of agreed to a price and sent off your stuff in advance, and then suddenly they're invoicing you with an additional amount, and that's not by them wanting to do that. They're strong-armed into doing it. So it really sucks. It really sucks to them. Now, obviously, that's part and parcel. You know, when there's less competition, there's, you know, more reason for them to upcharge. But I really think this is a good opportunity for loads of other companies to be able to give that good customer-centric, good turnarounds, good pricing, really jump on this, because I know a lot of content creators are very much like, don't grade with PSA. And I can understand why. Now, these will be the gold standard throughout our lifetime. They would have to do something incredibly bad for PSA not to be top dog, especially now they've acquired Beckett, and obviously, well, the collectors have acquired Beckett, which is the parent company of PSA. They would have to be doing something terrible in our lifetime to be knocked off the top shelf. You know, Tag and Ace and all the other companies, CGC, are all great, but the numbers just don't lie. If you look at gem rate, their figures are ridiculous. Like, let me have a look here. Yeah, here we go. So this is just the PSA grading. So like yesterday, 101,000. Now this is something that they're actively feeding back to us. You know, it might be a bit fluffed and everything like that, but we're just looking at this number here, and it's ridiculous. Now, I know Ace are grading, I think when I saw a post, they were grading like around 50 to 60,000 a week or a day. I don't know if what the figures were there, but it's stupid. Like, the difference in kind of gap between PSA and the rest of the grading world. Like, we're not going to be able to change that. But it's certainly good enough that you can give them a scare. But the collective effort to be able to change this figure is ridiculous. They wouldn't even notice a difference probably until like 3-4 months where that kind of frustration I'm not going to submit would happen, because they've got so much money and backlog to get through. It's crazy. So we've got some early stage details as well for the two new Japanese sets here. We've got Storm Emeralda, and we've got the new Abyss Eyes. So Abyss Eyes will be released in Japan on May 22nd, and Storm Emeralda, I'm going to say that's such a mouthful, it's going to be on the 31st of July. Now, obviously, we know that we've got the new Darkrai Mega in Legends ZA. I fully imagine that Abyss Eye is very much going to be that. Now, the thing that really excites me as a Rayquaza lover is that we're going to get a potential Mega Rayquaza EX set and the SARs. And obviously, you can imagine the immediate correlation, I'm talking scalper correlation here, between a Rayquaza set and suddenly, oh my god, it's Evolving Skies 2.0. Now, I do think this is going to be a problem for everyone, especially that we're going into the 30th anniversary year as well. There's going to be so much hype around Pokemon. I think this is going to be a seriously expensive set, especially when or if these two will combine into whatever set they do in English. That's the usual set. Sometimes they put them together, but I certainly am going to be looking for a Rayquaza. The SIRs and the arts at the moment are fantastic, and unfortunately for my bank account, that's going to be something I'm really looking forward to. So let me know which one and who are you looking forward to in 2026 of the sets you know about so far. Next one, this is a short one, but we can start to get a bit of insight into the 30th anniversary kind of theme, what they're looking like, and there's some really cool ones that I thought I'd show. That's kind of been some early noticed signs of what we're kind of looking at, maybe from a design perspective of the earlier scene of the Pokemon merchandise. We're starting to get a lot of the original kind of fight scenes from the Pokemon Red, Blue, and I think Fire Red. But these are really cool. And if we see this from like a Pokemon Center ETB, I'd be really happy with that, because I mean, this is nostalgic for me, obviously from the original game. So when we do look back, I think it'll be very fun. These sleeves are very cool. It'll be interesting to see what else there is here. Obviously, got some more merchandise and the reference points here from Red and Blue, the anime, and Fire Red, Leaf Green, goated game. That's when I first started to appreciate Pokemon. Now, on the trend of the 30th anniversary, there are starting to be some like custom rumours based kind of cards that are being released, and on the train of One Piece and the hype around manga cards, there's been a rumoured design, and I've got the post up here about a manga-style Pikachu to do the 30th anniversary. Now, whether that is true or not, it's certainly going to be quite interesting to see if they jump on that from a design and hype wagon, because, I mean, I've seen the design. You're about to see it. It's very cool. Now, look at this. The Pikachu illustration, or like from the original kind of mangas, or at least the original designs. It's very cool. It's a very clean card. I think it's probably one of the nicest ones. I think it beats out any Pikachu that I saw from the 25th anniversary, and it's really in line with the design for the current market, which is obviously all hyped around One Piece and the rarity around manga style cards. So it would make sense from a decision and hype perspective. The market's there, but nothing's been confirmed there. But a manga style parallel all art Pikachu would be fantastic. Fingers crossed it's not too hard to get, or I know a lot of people kind of prefer that, but I do think it would be nice for everyone to have like a manga style Pikachu in their collection. But knowing Pokemon, they'll probably want it for a rarity perspective and to build up that hype around the market, if they ever do. Of course, nothing's confirmed. Now we've got the Logan Paul situation with the illustrator Pikachu. I'm sure everyone and their dog's seen it right now, but we're starting to see ridiculous numbers in Pokemon, and this is probably just the height of where it's at. The fact that I'm reading this on BBC News is a good testament to that. But from a $16 million sale, and I was just looking back, You know, it was bought back in 2021 for 3.9 million and pounds, and now it's sold for 12. You know, that's crazy, like what, 4x your money in 5 years. And when you're looking at things from that amount of like number, that return's ridiculous. Now, there is obviously things you need to consider. It's Logan Paul saying that he's got a massive fan base. He's a master of marketing, whether you like him or not. He knows how to sell something. And this is probably the best way. And I know it's obviously got diamonds and stuff around it. That adds to the value, of course. So it's not inherently just the card we're looking at, but just to say that 4x the the card is crazy. You know, the guy that bought it, he's on a quest to buy a T-Rex fossil, and you know, I think this is just obviously just chasing the Logan Paul hype train. He's, I think, called the Treasure Hunter or something like this, but he has started his hunt with the Illustrator Pikachu, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. And some not so good news, especially kind of for the hobby, where we're looking at a real sad time in the Pokemon world. We're starting to get more negative news as people are starting to become more aware of all the money and all the stuff that is happening in Pokemon in TCG. People are starting to get targeted now, and we've seen this with Pokédean, and unfortunately he's had a break-in in his personal home and his entire collection's been rummaged through. It looks like it's been a targeted attack. Obviously nothing's been confirmed yet. I'm not sure if people have been caught, but they're obviously to go home and be like, you know, sharing your hobby with people, and more importantly, sharing that part of your life, that private part of your life, and then somebody using that to take advantage of where you are, and obviously like kind of almost scoping out your home depending on what you're showing. And I think obviously from that, it feels obviously like a targeted attack. And I know Pokey, another YouTuber who starts and manages a very successful Pokemon business from his home, he's deleted all his videos showcasing his personal and private life, like such as his home and ways around it, because he's just worried now that if that can happen to one person across the pond, he runs an entire business that has a ridiculous amount of value in his own home. He's got a family there. He's trying to start up a life. You know, he's made an entire model of not leasing something, and now he's kind of looking to lease a place to fulfill orders because he's worried, he's scared. And I think a lot of people in the business are also feeling that worriness. Like, you know, suddenly if I had and showed all my stuff behind me, which I'm not going to say I do or don't have on this premises, for the same basis that you could be targeted, and that's scary because, you know, as a person that's looking at a business and looking at managing a business, it makes you think, damn, do I really need to be this worried about sharing this part of my life with people? And I certainly, for one, really hope, firstly, people that have robbed Pokédean's house get caught very quickly, and hopefully he gets returned some of his stuff. But the damage to his, you know, mental health and, you know, just general day-to-day life, not even taking into account the collector's card house, which he shares with Chloe in terms of running, that's a massive impact on his just life. So I really do hope you're doing well, and yeah, fingers crossed they get caught, because yeah, it really sucks, man. And it's sent ripples throughout the entire Pokemon and TCG community just because how sad some people are, and it really is, yeah, a dark time. But yeah, that's it for this episode. I'm going to call it quits here, and I hope you have a lovely week and continue to have a lovely week, and I'll catch you on the next video. Ciao.